Did you know Umamusume that Gold Ship shares the same birthday as me? Uncook. For as long as anyone can remember, horses have managed to put their mark on almost every period of humanity's history. Countless tales have been written about their significance for our civilization, ranging from life to death, building and destroying, main force of revolution, lifelong companion, and so on. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that we, humans, have evolved so far alongside the horses. Even when they don't play a major role in our society anymore, the horses manage to adapt their standings in today's age, mainly for entertainment, sport, and ceremonial uses. However, as if the quote, "history often repeats itself," came to realization, humanity's fascination with horses reached an all-time high since the Middle Ages. The reason is simple yet unsurprising. Race, gambling, anime girls, in that order. Anthropomorphism, one of many words that I can yet pronounce in English. Not only does it serve as a fancy sounding word, but many anime have used it as a world-building device. Land of the Lustrous, Beastars, Doraemon, and the very recent
Umamusume.
Ever since the game's release for the global audience, I feel like there's no point in explaining what is this about anymore. In any case, to quote the narrator's line at the start of every season, horses from another world were to be reborn as horse girls or Umamusume, and they were reborn with only one goal in mind: run. That's why every time you see a clip from this, anime girls were running and competing in a race turf instead of real horses depiction. That's basically the gist of it, a running competition between anime horse girls. I was wrong. One of my thoughts when I saw a clip from Umamusume for the first time was, this feels very gachable, or this has to be from a game. Like, looking at the character design alone makes you want to splash some cash for them. I was under the impression that the anime was mainly used just as a promotional video for the actual game. With that logic in mind, I thought surely the game was released first before the anime, and it turns out I was technically wrong. While the game was in development from 2016 and was planned to be released in 2018, it got into let's say, a development hell and was forced to push back until 2021. During that period, 2 seasons of the anime were aired, and it marks the start of the anime, not just as a promotional tool, but as its own universe. At its core, Umamusume's main theme revolves around dreams, rivalries, and overcoming setbacks. Each of the anime seasons has a different set of main protagonists with their own goals, where they also serve different purposes in introducing the series itself, as well as the basis of Japanese horse racing in general. Season 1 with Special Week, for example, one of the most underappreciated seasons amongst other release. Understandably, maybe because the quality difference compared to later seasons. But I think it did a decent job in showing first-timers to the world of Umamusume. Every season, except the one with Oguri, starts off with the main Uma having just or already enrolled in the Treisen Academy. As if the concept of having an academy strictly for horse girls wasn't cool enough, another thing that I like about Treisen is how alive it feels. A big chunk of what was happening in Uma's daily life basically happens in here. Just like a typical high school out there, the Umas receive a formal education as well. And basically all of the facilities an Uma needs to be the best in Japan. Running tracks, swimming pool, dance studio, whatever you imagine what a horse girl needs to put their mark in history. I'm just listing off the very obvious so far, but what made the Treisen Academy truly feel alive to me was how everybody was involved. Trainers, for example, to each their own respective style, plays a huge role in aiding an Uma's success. Training regime, race schedule, running style, all of those vital decisions. Not to mention building and keeping up the team chemistry. Because the way you manage Real Madrid and Barcelona obviously will be different, right? That's the best analogy I could come up with, but you get my point. Mundane conversations in the canteen become scenes that I was excited for. Maybe because I just wanted to see the Umas interact, or to see Saigem slick their way in to put a fat ass in the background every scene possible. Small details like hovering name tags as an Uma appear are always appreciated, especially early on when I'm trying to familiarize myself with 100 Umas out there who live together in a dormitory. Even side games went out of their way to pair the roommates based on specific reasons that's going to be too long for me to talk about, but it's enough to show me how much love they poured into the world, where it feels like every horse is on its own, yet together at the same time. You know, something's not right whenever this appears in the background. Instead of having a capable school counselor for once, this particular tree stump is notorious for the Umas to let off their steam. But on the flip side of it, those frustrations became moments that solidified their perseverance. That was one of the words that came out of Special Weeks besides Suzuka-san! At first, I honestly didn't really get what her dream was. The statement, Japan's #1 alone, was pretty much understandable, but how exactly do you achieve that title? Is it by racking up the most wins, being the most popular, most earnings by any horse in Japan? In any case, despite showing us this vast world of Japanese horse racing, what is lacking from the first season for me was how big of the stakes for her dream and how important are the races that she ran. But to be fair, I couldn't fully blame the first season for these problems because there's a good chance that a lot of viewers, including me, have season 1 as their first exposure to the series. So naturally, familiarizing yourself with a lot of the terms takes a while as you immerse yourself in the world of Umamusume. And slowly but surely, you will be able to look back at season 1 with a lot more appreciation. Double crown winner, proudest symbol of Glizzard, the monarch herself. Arguably one of the most beloved seasons amongst the community. Whoever decided to make Tokai Teo as the main protagonist must have felt like they found a diamond surrounded by gold. I like to think there are a lot of good candidates to choose an Uma as a protagonist, but if we take a look at Umamusume through the lens of competitive sports, Tokai Teo almost conveniently ticks all the boxes to be the protagonist among protagonist. Teo's journey offers us more flavor that was lacking from the previous season. This is where the story writing goes to Redshift LP1211M. But my first question is, how do we even surpass the title Emperor? As the rival heir of the undefeated Triple Crown, Teo was determined to reach the same or even greater heights than her role model. Double crowns in the back, Kika show, that's for sure. I'm gonna give a major spoiler in the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Fractures. Going from the nation's favorite to suddenly almost being in a sashimi might not be the best way to live your life as a horse, but misfortunes oftentimes carry a hint of redirection, since Teo's recurring setbacks force her to change her dream entirely for a couple of instances. Well, force might not be the right choice of words, as she probably has the option just to retire, in which there's no way a monarch would leave without a fight, and that is the exact thing that was properly executed in Season 2. Everything was set for us to see how her perseverance will pay off in the end. Period dreams, countless rehabs, fulfilling promises. The stakes were just tenfold higher because of her circumstances. And as we follow her going through many adversities, Tokai Teo managed to become a true symbol of perseverance for her fans, teammates, rivals, herself and whatnot, and for us just trying to barely survive the struggles of everyday life. Since the release of the global version being close to the wrap-up of Cinderella Grey, I was expecting the game to be somewhat popular, but holy hell, you can never underestimate the power of anime girls and gambling mechanics. I actually started the game 3 weeks late, which, if you know anything about the timeline for gacha games, shit could change in just a snap of a finger. I don't know, I just have this longing fear of getting sucked again into the abyss of gacha games. On top of that, peace and abundance have finally found me again after a 4-year-long toxic relationship. So after weeks of contemplation, I decided to... Those are the game stats from a certain individual who's doing his masters and a part-time job at the same time. It's a good game, I guess. The game's been really fun, and please forget the things I said about fear of commitment, because I'm back to square one, baby. This is the backbone of Umamusume, no, horse racing in general. Everything that you were looking to find in other Umamusume media, most likely you can find it in here, especially for Umas that don't get the spotlight in the anime or manga. You wanna know more about Myra Top Gun because she, for some fucking reason, just slept throughout the whole season 2? Well, you're in a good luck, because now you can dedicate your time to hours worth of content about your favorite Uma. Character stories, main stories, stuff from the archives, and secrets? Did you know Umamusume that Harurara can't say prestigious? It's totally fine if you play the game just for the story or immerse yourself more in the world of Umamusume. With the amount of effort that Cygames put into the world, the least you can do is just read. But now, let's move on to the other side of the game. Career runs. This is where champions are made, as well as a gambling addict. Everybody describes the gameplay as roguelike, but since I don't have a single clue about the term roguelike, imagine snorting a dose of cocaine. I never did hard drugs before, but doing career runs might as well give the same sensation due to the constant bursts of short dopamine hits. The simplest way I can describe the gameplay is being the best trainer you can be to build the best horse possible, because most of the time you want your horse to win, and a big portion of that comes down to your decisions as a trainer before, during, and after the run.
Let's say you want to build Gochi for bigger distance races, right? So for that, you need to run max speed, 800 stamina, 600 power, and maybe a good set of fighters for certain acceleration skills. You see the details that Gochi has 30% training bonus for stamina and 10% for power. That means we can use more speed cars because that's our top priority. Great! And now we just did every prep possible before the run even begins. Then we just follow the formula during the run by training speed and stamina as much as possible.
Voila! You made it to the end of the career run. The gameplay is really that simple. Almost every aspect of it is basically under your control. Your decisions as a player and a trainer. But what if I told you another big portion of the gameplay heavily comes down to RNG before, during, And after the run, wanna have a decent super deck and your favorite Uma? Gamble! Starting from the back at a late start? Good luck with that. Dedicating your run to build a godly parent? Just give up at this point, bro. It doesn't matter how prepared you are for this game. If your luck is shit, it's going to be shit. If you want to compete in basically a monthly PvP tournament, it doesn't get better at all. I had to build 3 Umas while praying that RNG will be on my side every single time. The skills, the runs, the aptitudes, nothing could be bargained. I actually won the PvP with that exact method. And the first question that popped into my mind was it all worth it? Yes. Despite the cruel reality of gacha mechanics, I really appreciate how intricate the game mechanics are. There are also some motherfuckers out there with almost 200 pages worth of Google Docs explaining every single mechanic of the game in absurd detail for free, when this entire document could easily pass an international conference. So that's why I just can't help but be impressed with the amount of dedication that the community gave and endless possible ways to enjoy the game however you want. I think that really is the beauty of the game, to immerse yourself more in the world, be the greatest trainer of all time, and train a historic Uma just like Eclipse.
Eclipse first, the rest nowhere.
唯一抜きん出て並ぶものなし。
さすがだな、ベルのライト。
The way I'm butchering some of the sentences from my script is a big tell that I'm not good at English either. But whenever I hear the phrase, Eclipse first, the rest nowhere, it makes me wonder, what the f does that even mean? Does it refer to the literal meaning of solar eclipse? So like any other curious fan out there, I decided to dive straight into the web. Eclipse is an actual name for a very prominent racehorse back in the 1700s. Eclipse first, the rest nowhere was coined by one of his owners who made a bet that Eclipse would dominate his opponents by a significant leg. His time as a racehorse was so impressive to the point that the phrase will be forever marked in history. Besides his remarkable runs, he's also known as the godfather of many future champions. It is said that more than 90% of today's racehorses are related to him. Some of the most prominent horses from his bloodline are Potatoes, Secretariat, Northern Dancer, and Sunday Silence, along with his extensions in Japan. Are these names quite familiar? Ah, that's why. Upon learning about the fact that this was an actual quote from centuries ago, it makes me question how much stuff from real life that they reference. Many of the character designs are based on their real life counterparts. The coat, the jockey uniform, their antics, they somehow managed to implement various details for the character design. It extends to another aspect of the world building as well. If you notice why some Umas are quite fond or clingy with one another, chances are they're related. Or if they're squabbling all the time like a Doom Yuri at this point, chances are they're rivals. The designs and their dynamics are probably the most obvious parts that they reference, but what I like the most about this point is the parallel between each Uma storyline and their real-life counterparts. I made a point initially about how weak the stakes are for a special week in Season 1, the G1 races that G1. I just didn't understand what makes them special to the point that special week sounds like ordinary week for me. But as I immerse myself more in Umamusume, or Japanese horse racing in general, I can boldly claim that she truly is okay, try to follow me on this. There's this one prestigious G1 race in France called
Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe,
a historical cup with the biggest prize money in Europe, which attracts many competitors from all around the world. Many people would consider the winner of that prize as the best horse in Europe or even in the world. Now, many Japanese horses have made countless attempts to prove their might in the West. But as I'm writing this script, even the greatest horses from Japan have never once won the Arc. The closest they ever got was a second place finish by our favorite Nakayama Festa and El Condor Pasa. November 99. Japan Cup was once again attracting many strong international contenders. High Rise, Tiger Hill, Borgia, and the ARC winner of that year. The very same horse that bested El Condor Pasa by half a length in the ARC. Due to his previous wins and reputation in Europe, he was set as the number 1 favorite to claim the Japan Cup, while the locals' favorite is in second place, which is none other than. This was Special Week's second attempt after losing to El Condor Pasa in the previous year. In addition to that, Japan Cup was the only G1 missing from Yutaka Take's cabinet at that time. So with all things considered, especially with the recent El Condor Pasa upset in France, the stakes and motivations were high for Japan to prove themselves once again in the international stage. And the result was history. Winning the Japan Cup itself was impressive, but to have it won against the very same winner of the ARC is more than just a cherry on top. It's like a statement is being made to put the Japanese horse racing scene on solid ground. And it was at that same moment that Special Week was given the title of the Great General of Japan, which is such a tough sounding title for a horse. My point is, if you learn about the real-life background of the Umas, it could elevate some of the adapted stories from just okay to wow, that is such an amazing feat, or from one that is already amazing to wow, I can't believe that shit really happened in real life, because how the f*** is it possible for a horse to recover from a triple fracture? Think about it. Those kinds of story writing are the ones that are able to break the boundaries between fiction and reality. It is evident from the recent surge of worldwide fans showing love to the series or horse racing in general. It also really helps when Cygames collaborates with many events or places, like becoming a sponsor in real-life graded races, and even going so far as having an exhibition to convey the history of Japan's horse racing to the US. On the local scale, Cygames also work together with the region where the Uma came from, like what they did in Kasamatsu, Oguricap's hometown, which is where the start of Cinderella Grace Season 1 is based on. These acts of commemoration are truly the best aspect of Umamusume, because not only did they manage to introduce new people to the horse racing scene, they also made sure to preserve a big part of Japan's horse racing history for both new and long-time audiences' hearts. It's not a secret that a big portion of Umamusume's real horses had already moved to the other side of the sun. Some of them have been for quite a while, decades even, but to see many of the fans still mourning the loss of their beloved horses, I don't think this is just about horse racing anymore. To think that the whole series about horse racing would have this amount of motion worldwide, it's really beautiful and bitter to see, honestly. Umamusume is not just a game about cute anime horse girls. It's a medium that managed to seep into a lot of people's hearts by showing their passion. This is where horses are given another chance to be immortalized once again in many hearts of beloved fans. And that is why we'll say that this is more than just a horse and gambling and cute anime girls. You get my point. It truly was and is a heartfelt homage to the history of Japanese horse racing.
いやーすごいですね。
すごかったですね。
はい。いやー驚きました。また一層声が高くなりました。さあウイニングランを終えて、さあ戻ってきました。武豊が一周して大観衆の前でのウイニングラン。右手を2度3度高く突き上げました武豊。